my city, and she was studying at college arts, and actually she didn't graduate. She was dreaming of the day that she is finally going to graduate, have her certificate, and be free, because she was always about liberation. She always had thoughts, and she reflected that in her artistic paintings. Now, if you want to learn more about Dunyana, she obviously represented the people in her paintings, meaning that her favorite color is black, and she used it to express tragedy, frustration, depression, life under occupation, and life under blockade here in Gaza. Dunyana, her home was bombed, she was killed, her siblings were injured, and now she is gone forever. Dunyana lived a very difficult life. Her parents have 9 kids. It was so hard to raise them, and especially with the financial situation here in Gaza. Dunyana had to postpone her academic semester because she couldn't afford to pay the tuition fees for her college. Now Dunyana is underground in her graveyard. She never graduated. She never got the day that she always dreamed of, to have her certificate and be free. That's just another heartbreaking example. Now, if I were to move on and tell you even more about other situations here in Gaza. As I told you, there was a horse on a car that got bombed, and if you could see the vision, like the scene of this horse being on the ground and it is bleeding, and people don't know what to do because this is too tragic that people actually get confused, they get stunned. When you witness a bombardment right in front of your eyes, sometimes you freeze. Of course, is it is different from one person to another. uh one of the additional stories that I would like to add here is that when they were bombing the next city to my city, it's called Rafah. It's right in the south. Rafah, it's a city full of people, refugee camps, and they bombed the refugee camps, and there was the rubble. And unfortunately, just like last year, there were so many people under the rubble. Now, people like rescue teams, they tried to get under the rubble to try to save people who were still alive, by the way. They couldn't get their vehicles to actually get into the rubble. Why? Because refugee camps are known to be very crowded. Now, with that being said, they actually asked one of the citizens to demolish his home for them to get those vehicles into the rubbles because they couldn't access the rubbles. The road was just not wide enough. It was too narrow. This is refugee camps we're talking about. And this citizen agreed to have his home demolished for the sake of other Palestinian lives to be rescued. Now, if you ever hear this story, and if it's in a place like the UK or the US, you're gonna figure, oh, he could work, he's probably rich, he could have other homes, or he could actually build another home easily. But in Gaza, as I told you, under blockade, under siege, it is almost impossible for him to rebuild his home right now. Life is too difficult. People can barely eat. People can barely have food on the table, roof above their heads. We don't have power. We don't have healthy water. We don't have the human rights, the basic human rights. Right now, schools are about to kick in, and students are supposed to go back to school. Imagine that if you go to your school, if you go to your classroom, and there is one person is missing. Hello? Hello?
We can hear you.
Did you lose
We
me?
can hear you.
Oh, okay, because you froze. I was worried. So as I was saying, now imagine if you go to your classroom and there is one person is missing. This person could be your classmate. It could be your friend. It could be your teacher. Now, personally, I lost a teacher last year. My mathematics teacher from middle school was bombed and killed last year. Now, imagine how people, students, for example, they're going to go to school and they have to just go on and move on with life, even though not many weeks ago they were living bombardments and assaults and attacks here in Gaza. And now imagine how are they gonna afford to get notebooks, to get books, to get the school costumes, to get everything they need for their school, for their education, because people cannot afford that. Many people need to put more thoughts into these little details. Now, if you were living here in Gaza, one of the wildest stories I heard was people in emergency rooms in hospitals. They say they're like nurses. They said it's the medical crew, by the way. They said that it was totally fine. It was so calm. We were talking, chit-chatting. We were just telling stories because there were no one out there, like no patients at all or whatsoever. And then out of nowhere, all of the sudden, without any alarm, the emergency room started to get filled with people being bleeding, because they are being attacked, they are injured, and some of them are killed. And that situation actually flipped out because, as I told you, this attack happened out of nowhere. And many stories actually happened that everything happened out of nowhere. You get confused, you don't know what's going on, you don't know what to do. And you hear this person has died, has been killed to be accurate. And this person has lost his home, and this person has lost an arm or a beloved one. So all of these stories, they actually make you bleed wound for life because the sorrow is unbearable. Because for life you're gonna think of the person that you lost. Personally, I lost many people. I lost my best friend in 2008. I lost many people throughout the years, and now I have to live to witness all of this. And I'm not sure if I should say fortunately or unfortunately, but I have to live to tell their stories, which is really hard because these are people, people who were here living with me, and right now they're buried. So no matter how much I say, no matter how many stories I tell, who's gonna bring them back to life? Who's gonna fix this? No one.
That's I mean, even I can feel like how bad the situation was, and not was is because it's still better than now. So jadi teman-teman tadi Rai juga bilang um, kalau apa ya, bahkan ketika penyerangannya udah berhenti atau yang biasanya di sini dalam bahasa Inggris itu disebutnya ceasefire atau gencatan senjata, itu ya hanya berhenti tapi tidak memperbaiki kerusakan yang atau akibat yang sudah ditimbulkan. Kayak misalnya tadi beliau menceritakan ada cerita dari dari seorang korban dari penyerangan ini, namanya Khalid. Dia salah satu orang yang jadi korban dari penyerangan, dan ya bayangin apa ya, maksudnya Khalid ini penyidik. Terus ya walaupun misalnya serangannya sudah berhenti atau udah ada gencatan senjata, tapi gimana perasaan ibunya yang meskipun udah nggak ada serangan lagi, tapi ya anaknya udah dikubur alias tidak bisa dihidupkan kembali. Jadi impact dari penyerangan itu ya kan sesuatu yang tidak bisa diperbaiki. Terus ada juga kisah lain dari seorang artis di sana, namanya Dunyana. Dia painters, jadi dia melukis apa ya, yang lukisannya itu sebenarnya menceritakan apa ya, atau bukan menceritakan atau merepresentasikan orang-orang di sana, tapi Palestinian people, maksudnya orang-orang di Palestina. Makanya kenapa tadi beliau cerita kalau dari lukisan itu misalnya ada bukan simbol, misalnya dari bagaimana dia melukis dengan misalnya lebih banyak warna hitam dan lain sebagainya, karena ya itu menceritakan bagaimana penderitaan orang-orang di Palestina. Dan sekarang sama dengan Khalid, beliau pun Bunyana ini juga sudah meninggal, maksudnya kan menjadi salah satu korban dari penyerangan. Dan ya akhirnya hanya tinggal lukisannya aja, tapi maksudnya bagi keluarganya atau bagi orang di sekitarnya kan, bahkan meskipun penyerangan sudah berhenti, tidak, maksudnya beliau tidak bisa dihidupkan kembali. Gitu. Terus juga bahkan bukan hanya manusia, bukan hanya building, maksudnya bukan hanya gedung-gedung, bukan hanya rumah-rumah, animals, hewan-hewan pun juga di sini nggak, maksudnya menjadi korban dari penyerangan. Maksudnya poinnya adalah penyerangan ini tuh benar-benar tidak melihat siapa itu siapa, karena kan sebenarnya kalau penyerangan dalam war itu kan ada aturannya, kayak misalnya tidak boleh menyerang sipilian, tidak boleh menyerang rumah sakit atau ya orang-orang dan tempat-tempat lindung dan sebagainya. Tapi penyerangan Israel ini benar-benar sudah tidak melihat itu lagi. Jadi bahkan kayak dia bilang hewan pun di sini nggak aman gitu. Jadi tidak ada yang aman di Palestina dengan adanya serangan dari Israel. Gitu. Terus juga ada kisah lainnya itu di kota Rafah, kalau nggak salah ada tadi dia cerita ada seorang refugee di sana yang merelakan rumahnya untuk hancur agar dia bisa menyelamatkan orang Palestina. Gitu. Jadi dan maksudnya untuk kasus kayak rumah hancur itu mungkin kalau misalnya di negara-negara kayak US or maybe atau bahkan misalnya di sini di Indonesia kemungkinan untuk mendapat tempat tinggal baru kan lebih besar dibanding di sana. Misalnya kalau misalnya rumah kalian hancur ya hancur, maksudnya untuk kalian bisa dapat rumah lagi kemungkinannya kayak sama sekali tidak ada gitu. Jadi banyak orang yang juga mungkin bukan berkorban secara, maksudnya secaranya bukan maksudnya bukan secara fisik tapi juga secara materi, secara apapun merelakan yang ya istilahnya sudah yang tidak lagi bisa lakukan ya saling tolong menolong seperti itu, kayak gitu, mau refugee mau orang Palestina, karena mereka sama-sama dari the same shoes, mereka merasakan atau mengalami hal yang sama, pengalaman yang sama, jadi kayak gitu. Jadi iya kurang lebih itu yang beliau cerita gitu. So my next question is then what's the plan or what action that Gaza or Palestinian will take, like I don't know, to because it's kind of very, I mean, we cannot make people back to live, or we cannot build again the houses that has been destroyed. So what will Gaza do? What will Palestinians do about this attack, or next, like to avoid if it's possible, or I don't know, or to, because yes, you told me like, well, we can tell stories. I mean, you try to tell stories to the world. I mean, because no one else did, basically. I mean, even the news or something like that. But other than stories, what's new in Gaza, like preparing something, or I don't know, to handle the situation? What's the plan?
This is a very strong question, and now I need to remind you that we live in a situation where there is an occupier and occupied, okay? And now we are occupied, and we live under occupation, and we live under blockade. So for us, the plan is to remain strong, to be patient, and to fight for our freedom, for our liberation, for our human rights. Now I know not a lot of people are gonna agree with me when I say Palestine needs to be free and we need to go back to our lands, because so many people dispute when it comes to this matter. But hear me out. For me, as someone who lives under occupation, I struggle on a daily basis. I do struggle on a daily basis. Now, if you take a look at my eyes, you're gonna see that my eyes are bumpy right now because I can barely sleep at night because I have power cuts. and it gets so hot. It's summer, and I have to sleep on the floor, and it hurts my body. Right now, I am talking to you, my back hurts, my neck hurts, and I'm in pain, physical pain, and I am in psychological pain, and I am in mental pain, and I am in emotional pain. For me, I am 25 years old. I graduated from college in 2019. I studied English language and literature, and I am unemployed. I cannot find a job here because I live under occupation, and I am being restricted in every single way. I am getting older. If you take a better look at me, you're gonna realize I have gray hair right here. This gray hair comes from depression. This gray hair comes from anxiety, from stress, from fear, because I live in a place where I get pumped from time to time, and I keep thinking about myself, about my family, and about my future. For me, if I were to get married, I cannot do that. And even if I managed somehow to get married, personally, I wouldn't want to have kids here, because a lot of people who have kids here, they have their kids live under blockade. I would never do that to my kids. They have their kids live here and drink undrinkable water and get bombed from time to time, and you never know when when you're gonna lose your soul, or when you're gonna lose your child. Many of my friends who got kids who are very few months old or even years old, they were talking about how scary it is for them to have kids while being under attack. It's like a whole new level of being scared. Now, for us, what is the plan? I don't know what is the plan because we are lost, because there is not much we can do. We are besieged. We strive to live. We love life. We try to express that in all ways that we can, but it doesn't always work. Now, for me, after this session is gonna be over, I'm gonna go back to my room. I'm gonna lay on my bed. I don't have a job. I don't have anywhere to go. I'm broke. I don't have money. I don't know what to do with my life at all right now. Personally, I feel like maybe I need to create something not only for myself but for my peers here. Now, one of the things that I try to do, because I really need to change my reality here, I need to be the change since no one out there is gonna be the change. Now, I started to take action. And one of the ways that I started to take action is by starting a small group. Now, this is me doing what I know to do, and I figured, you know what, I'm just gonna start a new project. And I called this project Palcasters. Pal, shortened for Palestinian, and casters are like for podcasters or broadcasters or webcasters, people who stream. And I figured I could create this small platform for people to have access to professional microphones, to professional equipment, and stream their voices and tell their stories. And maybe someone out there is going to listen to us. Maybe someone out there is going to take action. Now, as I told you before, for example, I live in Gaza, I am unemployed. Maybe someone out there is going to employ me to do some work in my major. Maybe because you said that you want to pursue a career in international relations. I'm so close to it. I want to pursue a career in public relations because I feel like I need to connect Gaza to the world. Now, for me to do that, of course, I'm gonna need to get a scholarship and I'm gonna need to travel abroad. It's gotta be fully funded, and I'm gonna learn for 2 years more about this because when I come back to Gaza, I want to connect Gaza to the world in better ways, in more professional ways, so that I can help myself and help my family and help my people. Now, unfortunately, I am always being restricted. Now, when I have power for like 6 to 8 hours a day, I have very limited time to do everything. If I want to do laundry, I gotta do it then. If I want to fill the water tanks, I gotta do it then. If I want to use my laptop, get online and get more work done, I gotta do it then. If I want to talk to someone, I gotta do it. There's so much to do in these very few hours every single day. And now with the borders in Gaza being mostly closed, like Whenever we are under attack, they get close. They get even close ahead of time, and they stay close even after that. We are not in control. We are under control. I am being restricted. Like, even if I were to get microphones into Gaza, I cannot do that. It's so hard for me. My project, I cannot fund my own project. I have a small community of almost 80 Palestinian youths who want to learn more about audio because they are passionate about telling stories and about even making money out of it. For those who want to do voiceover work and stuff like that. I feel I am incapable of doing that. I'm incapable of having paid work for myself or for my team. I'm incapable of actually having a website for people to look me up, to reach out to me. You know, the only thing I manage, which is in my power, free platforms. Like, I create accounts on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I have the account podcasters out there, but for me, I feel like I am still being restricted. Where do I go? Borders are mostly closed, and even if I were to travel through the Egyptian border, I'm gonna need so much money. It costs a lot. Some people here, they get in debt to get that money to travel. Very few people get scholarships. And some of those people who get scholarships, sometimes they lose their scholarships if borders are closed. This happened a lot to many people. And even if I were to leave Gaza and travel abroad, I am still gonna leave my family behind. I'm gonna still leave my parents, my little sister behind. My parents are getting old. They have chronic diseases. My sister, who had surgery 2 weeks ago, she's gonna be here alone. And if I were to come back here for a visit, I'm gonna be in fear of I'm gonna get stuck here. And of course, it's gonna cost me so much money. And it's never guaranteed that I could simply come back, visit my family, and then travel again. I have restrictions on my basic human rights that make me feel like there is not much I could do. For me right now, for the past few years, I've been thinking of ways to turn my life around, and I fail every single day. And as I told you, I look at my peers, they're jobless. People here would work all day long with very few money just to eat. And for ambitious people who've got big dreams, eventually those dreams, they vanish and they live in depression. Frustration takes over, and most of the time they don't know how to speak English, and Arabic is not gonna get them anywhere, especially with uh, normalization taken over. Everyone wants to normalize and be on good terms with this occupation, and we are left out, and we are isolated, and we live under occupation every single day. Right now, just ahead of the session, I was writing an article about "Hear me out. I am still under attack." People think Gaza under attack is just a trend. Yes, we want to listen to these people when they are getting bombed, but what happens after that? What happens? Are you gonna still listen to me complain about power or complain about polluted water? My sister, who is 13 years old, had a, a surgery because she had kidney stones because of polluted water. Do you know that kidney stones is a thing in my family because of polluted water? And I never know when it's gonna be my turn to be in the hospital for a week and undergo surgery that's gonna put me in pain for a very long time because of polluted water. And I'm not even gonna get into the other crises because if I were to start, I would not come to an end. But what I'm trying to deliver here is that we live in unlivable place, unbearable. We don't have a future. We don't have present right now. So I don't know how to answer your question positively because realistically, it's all dark, it's all crowded, it's all clouded, and we are under attack every single day. This is our reality.
Thank you so much. Yeah, because I also want like, if I'm in your shoes, for example, like, what do I do? It's I couldn't even imagine that. And yeah, so but I think people are like gathering together to hold them to be strong distinction. And yeah, so now I can imagine like it is basically hard for you to do anything about it. And yeah, that's why that's the story. Yeah, now I understand. Jadi teman-teman, tadi kan sebelumnya pertanyaan aku adalah terus gimana Palestinian bereaksi atas serangan tersebut, dalam arti apakah mereka ada rencana untuk apakah mereka ada rencana untuk I don't know, untuk gimana caranya untuk bisa recover, apakah mereka misalnya akan fight back atau segala macam. Tapi dari penjelasannya Raid itu apa ya, sangat tekan gitu, mereka tuh di sana under occupation, dalam arti mereka tidak literally bisa apa ya, berdiri sendiri untuk ya akan buat plan-plan untuk fight back or something like that. Mereka under occupation, mereka under attack, mereka juga kayak diserang like every single day, like jadi mereka hampir apa ya, memang basically kayak tidak berdaya untuk melakukan apa-apa gitu. Terlebih dengan kondisi Israel sendiri kan dia punya banyak support dan sebagainya gitu. Sedangkan ya kalau misalnya kita lihat dari berita-berita sendiri juga banyak berita yang lebih condongnya ke pihaknya Israel kan dibanding pihak Palestina gitu. Jadi salah satu upayanya untuk beliau sendiri dan ya mungkin beberapa orang maksudnya upaya-upaya personal yang akhirnya mereka ambil, kayak misalnya Brother Raid ini dia bikin Palcaster. Palcaster itu palnya dari Palestinian, and castersnya itu caster semacam broadcaster atau podcast something like that. Dan ya tujuannya adalah itu untuk memberitahukan kayak dunia luar kayak ini loh yang saat ini terjadi di Palestina, ini loh serangan-serangan yang dilakukan oleh Israel, and kita tidak bisa melakukan banyak hal untuk menghadapi situasi ini. Jadi harapannya ya dengan adanya sejarah ini orang-orang jadi lebih terbuka pikirannya akan bagaimana situasi sekarang, dan harapannya Raid adalah akan ada seseorang di luar sana yang bisa mengambil peran untuk mengatasi situasi ini, gitu, untuk membantu mereka mengatasi situasi sekarang gitu, serangan Israel yang terus-terusan gitu. Jadi lebih ke apa ya? Mereka mencoba untuk kalau misalnya ada berita-berita yang bercondongnya ke Israel ya, mereka mencoba menyerukan kebenaran lah. Ini kebenarannya kayak gini. Gitu. So please kayak lakukan sesuatu, do something. We are struggling here, something like that. Gitu. And my last question for Rad is, so Indonesian just celebrated the Independence Day, our Independence Day, on the 17th of August, and we wonder like if there's something we can do like for this matter, like because I know a lot of Palestinian. I mean, we have like a bond, Palestinian Indonesian, that also Palestinians like I heard a lot that's third supported for Indonesian independence before. And yeah, we wonder like if there's something we can do or Indonesian people can do to help Palestinian people, or not only Indonesian, also like the world in general, like what can we do for this matter?
Thank you so much. I actually get asked that a lot. And of course, this differs from time to time, it differs from place to another, and of course, it differs from one person to another. Personally, I think, of course, we could help in many, many ways. Now, for me as a writer and storyteller, I would say always share Palestinian content. Now, for several reasons. The first reason is that you raise awareness because, as you know, many people don't know what is happening here, and we usually get misrepresented in the media, and that causes a lot of much confusion, let me say, and it causes people to misunderstand the Palestinian side, especially that the Israeli occupation has got the technology, has got the equipment, has got the experts. They've got everything they need to show themselves as people who are only defending themselves, while they're actually putting a blockade on Gaza and attacking Gaza from time to time and attacking Palestinians in the West Bank every single day. And, they are in occupation that is still existent and it affects our daily lives. That's something. Another thing is that I know from some people they actually can contribute to Palestinian people in different ways. For example, if you are an artist, you can use your art. If you could always, for example, help a Palestinian person, sponsor Palestinians, help them learn, help them educate themselves, help them get opportunities, get their voices out there, and make sure that when you contribute to Palestinian content and their narrative, you are actually taking the right side when it comes to social media censorship, which is something always occurs against us. Social media, specifically Facebook and Instagram, they always censor our content, and they actually restrict our accounts, and they actually sometimes even shut down those accounts because they want to make sure that we don't speak freely, even though social media is about communicating with people, networking, and the freedom of speech. Now, as I told you before, as when it comes to freedom of speech, now personally, I am starting a new project. It's called Podcasters, which is a project for people, my peers, myself, to have access to a professional equipment, microphones, studios, and all of that, and tell stories. Now, my first story is gonna be the story of my mother who had to live under this blockade and deal with trigeminal neuralgia, which is a disease that's really severe pain in the face. And she had to live here with the lack of equipment, medical equipment, with the lack of medical tests, with the lack of materials, with the lack of medicine. She had to be in severe pain for about 14 years old. I'm gonna tell her story. I'm gonna tell how I managed finally after 14 years to get her out of Gaza for medication. And I'm gonna talk about, for example, the borders, about the Palestinian Authority and its role, about the Minister of Health and all of that. This is just an example, and I think this project podcasters needs to be empowered. And I actually never got this in public before, but I feel like since you guys are listening to me and I am casting my voice to you, I'm thinking maybe more people want to actually support this project. Of course, as I said before, you could always just find us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Podcasters, I actually could type it for you if you want. This is a nice opportunity for you to directly interact with Palestinian news. It's not limited to people in Gaza, but to people in the West Bank and people, around the world. Palestinian news. I'm just gonna write it down here in the chat if anyone feels like checking it. We are only getting started. Right now, we are in the training phase. Soon, we hope to actually get an opportunity to get maybe funded and fund ourselves, build a website for ourselves, and have our online audio out there for the world to listen to. um, I could always think of simple ways when it comes for people to support the Palestinian people. uh, I don't want to say advocacy because I know advocacy is so hard. I don't want to say campaigning because I know campaigning it takes professional people as well. But uh, just be kind to Palestinian people And this is something I say because I traveled in the past. I went to Egypt and I went to the US, and I had some minor experiences elsewhere. And I feel like on the borders, I get insulted as a Palestinian. I get humiliated, especially that I am from Gaza. I get criticized, I get judged, and I feel like you don't even know me to judge me this way. So if you ever see a Palestinian, know that they're coming from a place where they suffered a lot, and they just want to be treated with kindness, and they wish to be supported. So it's your judgment. You think about it. You think about what you could do. Some people could teach, mentor. We actually got a lot of programs here in Gaza that we get international mentors because they feel like they want to contribute to the Palestinian people, so they mentor us to do many things. I was mentored by a Palestinian journalist, who's a Palestinian American journalist who lives in the US, and I learned more about storytelling and writing. So you could mentor someone. If you ever see an opportunity, you could contribute. Some people actually create opportunities. People in colleges, I actually was reached out to by people at the University of Oregon in the United States, and they said that they have a club for the Palestinian people, and they were actually working on more donations to get a scholarship to one Palestinian student to go to the University of Oregon and learn to study there. This is a priceless opportunity. This is a life-changing opportunity for people like me. Now, as I said before, personally, I am pursuing an opportunity to get my postgraduate studies abroad, hopefully in an English-speaking country, because I really want to study English relations. And I feel like the more that we get connected to people and we represent ourselves properly without any misunderstandings, without any confusions, we have a better chance to create better lives for Palestinians elsewhere. Uh, I'm sure there could be even more ways to support Palestinian people, but as I told you, you could use what you can do. You could use what you have. If you have talent, use it. If you have voice, use it. If you have followers, for example, if you're like social media famous person, like a celebrity, like an influencer is the right term. If you have the money, you can use the money. If you could help with knowledge, with education, with experience, with networking, with sharing content. All of that is always appreciated. All of that is always welcome. And don't ever underestimate anything you can do for the Palestinian people. If you ever share a post, that's great help. If you ever share a campaign, that's great help. If you ever donate, even if it was $1, that's great help. Don't ever be ashamed to do the little things, because personally I believe the little things are the things that make the difference, the big difference. And of course, be creative, think out of the box, and just see what you think would be best on your side to support the Palestinian people.
Thanks so much. So, ini tadi aku nanyain sama Raya, apa yang bisa kita lakukan sebenarnya untuk membantu mereka di sana. Dan sebenarnya jawabannya sangat-sangat sederhana. Maksudnya itu apa yang bisa kita lakukan berbeda untuk setiap orang. Tapi kita bisa melakukan hal-hal sesederhana untuk terus menyebarkan konten-konten tentang Palestina. Karena masih banyak, dan sebenarnya banyak banget orang yang di luar sana nggak tahu tentang apa yang sebenarnya terjadi di Palestina. Jadi kalau misalnya kita menyebarkan atau menyebarkan informasi tentang Palestina, itu akan sangat membantu mereka. Apalagi kan kayak Raid sendiri ini fokusnya adalah untuk menyuarakan atau merepresentasikan orang-orangnya di Palestina gitu, dengan dengan menyebarkan cerita-cerita dari Palestina, cerita-cerita yang sebenarnya. Jadi apa yang bisa kita lakukan itu mulai dari sesederhana kita ikut menyuarakan, ikut menceritakan bagaimana keadaan di Palestina saat ini, lewat sosial media atau apapun. Ya, meskipun tadi beliau juga bilang kalau sosial media sendiri seringkali membatasi konten-konten tentang Palestina. ya sangat masuk akal ya sebenarnya, karena sosial media sendiri kan kebanyakan berasal dari Western gitu. Jadi ya bisa, maksudnya ada kaitannya gitu. Jadi untuk kita ya untuk nggak berhenti dan terus menyebarkan situs Palestina. Terus juga selain itu kalau misalnya memungkinkan, tergantung kapasitas kita. Maksudnya kalau misalnya kita adalah seorang yang punya kapasitas untuk membuat atau memberikan opportunity untuk orang-orang Palestina di luar negeri, mungkin ini jatuhnya kayak misalnya untuk pemerintah Indonesia yang bisa dilakukan, bisa juga dengan memberikan opportunity pendidikan, karena buat mereka kayak scholarship untuk orang Palestina di luar negeri itu adalah sebuah life changing, jadi impactnya sangat besar kayak gitu, karena di mereka sendiri kan sangat-sangat susah ya untuk mendapat maksudnya pendidikan yang layak, orang maksudnya gedung-gedung dibom kayak gitu. Jadi ya ketika ada, maksudnya walaupun mungkin gak banyak, tapi ketika ada orang-orang Palestina kayak orang ini yang bisa melanjutkan pendidikan di luar negeri, kayak itu juga kan sangat membantu mereka gitu, karena mereka yang study di luar negeri kayak gitu juga akhirnya jadi punya kapasitas untuk bersuara lebih besar kan. Kayak misalnya dia contohnya bilang banyak orang Palestina itu nggak bisa bahasa Inggris, jadi dan ketika dia kan sempat kuliahnya di English Studies ya semacam itu, dan sekarang maksudnya dengan kemampuannya bisa bahasa Inggris, dia kan jadi bisa menyebarkan cerita-cerita Palestina ini lebih luas lagi gitu. Terus juga kata beliau banyak juga ada beliau atau mendengar pengalaman orang lain atau beliau sendiri yang merasa ketika beliau ada di luar negeri misalnya, atau misalnya beliau kan sempat ada di US, banyak orang-orang yang istilahnya mendiskriminasi, menjajah Palestinian people, kayak orang yang berasal dari Gaza, karena kan ya apa yang dijual oleh media saat ini kan kayak Palestina itu justru menjadi pihak yang jahatnya kayak gitu, makanya mereka misalnya supportive dengan Israel, dan akhirnya ketika bertemu dengan orang Palestina, maksudnya ketika bertemu dengan orang Palestina, mereka kayak mendiskriminasi orang Palestina, dan dia bilang be nice to Palestinian people, kayak treat mereka dengan baik, maksudnya be supportive, maksudnya mereka sudah melalui banyak hal yang maksudnya sangat berat gitu di Palestina, dan it will be nice gitu ketika kita bisa mentreat mereka dengan baik gitu, dan bukannya mendiskriminasi atau menjudge mereka kayak gitu. Terus juga terakhir dia juga kan ada project yang namanya Palcaster yang dia beliau share juga di chat kayak gitu. Dia juga minta supportnya, maksudnya dengan project ini juga ada salah satu platform untuk menyuarakan cerita-cerita dari Palestina, menyuarakan kayak informasi-informasi dan kebenaran yang kayak ingin mereka sampaikan ke dunia luar. Jadi dia juga minta kita untuk kalau bisa support project ini kayak gitu, yang namanya Palcaster kayak gitu. Bisa kita semua bisa cari Palcaster yang ya trying to support, kita coba untuk support sesuai dengan kapasitas kita gitu, entah misalnya hanya mendengarkan dan share, atau kalau misalnya bisa bantu funding it's even better gitu, malah lebih baik lagi kayak gitu. Sekarang kita masuk ke sesi tanya jawab. Kalau misalnya ada yang punya pertanyaan, kalian bisa kirim di chat. Coba kita lihat apakah sudah ada pertanyaan atau untuk nah udah ada pertanyaan. Oh no, it's not a question. Oke, dari Amir mungkin udah ada pertanyaan dari audiens, mungkin dari live streaming atau lainnya. Jadi kita
yang ingin disampaikan dari audiens nih, yang Dian.
Okay, so we are now in the question and answer sessions, and as we can see all in the chat that there's someone who want to not to give a question but to share something, tell something to you. I think you can also like read it. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. To be honest, it's kind of overwhelmed realizing what you've been through there. I'm sorry that I didn't have much talking about your preference not to have a child in Gaza. I think that's Israel's objective to make people scared to have a child so the citizen itself decrease. I believe that my people in Palestine, especially Gaza, are the special ones, brother. Among billions of people, you guys are the one that Allah choose to live there, guard our holy mosque. So please, brother, don't lose hope. Inshallah, there will be ways. Freedom is near. Indeed, Allah's help is always near. And I agree with this statement. Okay, and there's also another question here. The question is, are the Palestinian people know about Israel plan to build how to say, to build the bridge to build a tunnel like below Alaska Mosque, and are the Palestinian people know about the dream of Muhammad Qasim?
Oh, okay. Could you please just repeat that because I don't think I quite understood the question.
Okay, so this is the question from Diane. She wants to ask if the Palestinian people know the Israel plan to build a tunnel below the Al-Aqsa Mosque. That's the first question. And the second one is, are Palestinian people know about the dream of Muhammad Qasim? Muhammad Qasim.
Okay. As for the first question, which is I understood, yes, actually, we learned that it is really people, as we call them Zionists. They actually try to demolish Al-Aqsa Mosque. They have tunnels under it, but I actually believe that they're not gonna be able to do that because if they ever do that, I think it's immediately gonna be the end of their occupation, their state, their Israel, country, as they like to call it. Um, it is. I think it's gonna turn them upside down if they actually decide to demolish this, because as we know, we have millions and even over a billion Muslims around the world, and they actually occupy Palestine, which is in the heart of the Arab world. So they are surrounded by Islamic countries, and I think even if governments here were corrupt, even if presidents and people in charge were corrupt, I think the people are gonna head towards Palestine and they're gonna free themselves, even if they have no guns, no weapons, no rockets, or like, warplanes, those militant jets that they have. People, Muslim people, they're gonna just head into Palestine and free it if anything happens to Al Aqsa Mosque. It's not easy for anyone to even take action when it comes to demolishing Al Aqsa Mosque. This is a holy place for many, many people. And plus, keep in mind that relations that Israel has with many, many, many Arab countries like Egypt, like Jordan, like Saudi Arabia. They actually they're gonna put themselves in a very difficult situation because those normalizational relations, they're gonna come to an end immediately if they ever try to demolish Al Aqsa Mosque. To be honest, as for the second one, I'm not sure. You said Muhammad Qasim,
Yes,
February.
Muhammad Qasim. The
Who's
dream of
Muhammad
Muhammad Qasim.
Qasim?
Mungkin Dian bisa explain siapa itu
Who's Muhammad
beliau
Qasim?
Muhammad Qasim.
Come again?
I tried to ask Dian who is Muhammad Qasim because I personally also don't know who is Muhammad Qasim.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but Muhammad is a very common name, and
Maybe we
I'm not
can,
sure who Muhammad Qasim is.
yeah, we will wait for them to give more explanation about Muhammad Qasim. And but so it's indeed true that Israel has planned to build a tunnel under under the Al-Aqsa Mosque.
I've never been to Al-Aqsa Mosque before, which is really sad because that's the capital, the eternal capital of Palestine. And as a Palestinian, it is my right to be there. So I never went there. I'm not sure what is exactly happening on the ground, but from local news, we actually heard that yes, those tunnels exist under Al-Aqsa Mosque, and there were some cracks even in the ground of Al Aqsa Mosque because of the tunnels under it. But as I told you before, I don't think the Israeli occupation has the guts to explode Al Aqsa Mosque. I don't think they have the guts to demolish it for whatever reason they have or they believe. Uh, Muhammad Qasim, he's young man from Pakistan. He tells I hope you find more about him. Okay. Sorry, Muhammad Qasim. He seems to be like like a big name over there, but I don't know all the people around the world. Like I don't even know all famous people around the world. Uh, many people have dreams of meeting Allah and meeting Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, but that's something I honestly cannot judge because I feel like I'm not qualified to get into that because it seems more religious than anything else. And even though I am Muslim and I believe in Allah and I believe in the Prophet and I believe in Islam, I'm not sure that I can get into that, to be honest.
Okay. So I will first translate the first part. So ya, jadi beliau bilang kalau um, sebenarnya beliau belum pernah benar-benar ke Masjid Al-Aqsa karena kan dia juga sangat terbatas ya aksesnya. Tapi katanya memang benar ada tunnel di bawah Masjid Al-Aqsa itu. Yang mungkin memang ada manusia di Israel. Tetapi beliau bilang Palestinian people, maksudnya orang Palestina tidak akan diam saja kalau misalnya terjadi sesuatu sama Masjid Al-Aqsa, dan karena itu dan karena Israel juga mungkin tahu tentang hal itu, mereka juga kemungkinan besar tidak tidak punya keberanian untuk benar-benar menghancurkan atau melakukan sesuatu dengan Masjid Al-Aqsa, karena orang Muslim orang Palestina pasti nggak akan diam aja kalau itu sampai terjadi. Terus regarding terkait Muhammad Qasim, beliau nggak bisa cerita banyak karena beliau juga tidak punya kapasitas untuk menjawab pertanyaan tentang ya kayak dream atau mimpinya dari Muhammad Qasim ini tentang bertemu Allah atau Muhammad SAW kayak gitu. Untuk next question from Siva, yang baru, she asks, does Israel will keep try to occupy Palestine as if is it only like in certain moment, for example Ramadan, Eid, or the Eid of Jewish, or actually like they try to occupy Palestinian like all the time? Actually the answer is I think it's all the time. So yeah, it's not only in specific or certain circumstances. But maybe
Okay, I think this is a very good question. Now, when it comes to these holy occasions in our Islamic belief, okay, first allow me to make things a little bit clear. Not all Palestinians are Muslims. We have Palestinian Christians and we have Palestinian Jews as well. Now, for the Israeli occupation, they don't care about what your religion is. As long as you are Palestinian, you are under attack. We will occupy you because we occupied Palestine. Even if you are Jewish, you are Palestinian, and therefore they're gonna do everything an occupier would do because that's what occupation is all about. Now, for us, and allow me to share my personal side of the story as a Muslim. Every year, we have Ramadan. It's the holy month and we love it. And the spirit of Ramadan, and we pray, and we do qiyam al-layl, and we pray to God, and we fast, of course, and we read Quran. We do all these prayers. And in addition to all the yummy food, and when we fast together and then break our fast and all of that, uh, and then there comes Eid al-Fitr, and then Eid al-Adha. So those are very happy occasions for all Muslims around the world. But it's not always the case here. It's not always. And I'm not saying it's always bad. I'm not saying it's always good. But in recent years, unfortunately, we were getting bombed in Ramadan. We were getting bombed in Eid. It would be Eid, and the entire world, the Islamic world, is celebrating Eid, and kids are wearing new clothes, and they're happy, smiles, all of that, and they're living it as people in the West live Christmas and all of that. But we would be getting bombed, and that happened. Now, in 2012, I think, and in 2000, and last year as well, we were getting bombed harshly, unfortunately. And they don't care what occasion it is. It could be a holy occasion, it could be not. There is no timing. Now, one of the wars that we lived here in Gaza, we were under attack, and we would be fasting, and they would target us when we gather to have food together to break our fasting. And they would strike again at suhoor, when we eat before we fast. So it was a tough Ramadan, because they would bomb us at those two main times. Like, mainly they would bomb us at sunset and sunrise. And I lost my best friend from my childhood like that. He was with his family, and he was bombed. It was 3 or 4 a.m., and I heard the news, and I was in shock. He lives close to my house, so my house was shaken so roughly, and I was worried. And when I heard his name, like I read on the news, I started to cry, and I didn't know what to do. Now, the thing that made me feel better about what happened is that my friend, that same night that he was bombed and killed, I saw him in the mosque, and he was reading Quran, and he was praying there. He was a very good Muslim, and he was very committed to Islam. And on that night, he and his entire family, except for his brother, who is the sole survivor, they all got murdered, unfortunately. Then there was Eid, and even though it was Eid, we were still under attack. And I remember that there were kids playing on the beach, and there's like the small guard, like playground for kids, and they were bombed on the beach, even though it was Eid. And I think there were 4 kids, and that was one of the most tragic scenes I've ever seen here in Gaza. Of course, throughout the years, uh, like it doesn't matter if it's the New Year Eve, or it's it's anything, even in Hijri, in the Hijri year. It could be Arafah Day, for example. It could be Ashura, and they don't care. They would still bomb us. Now, the thing about Palestinians is that we strive to live. We strive to celebrate our religion. So as long as we are not getting bombed, we strive to actually live and embrace Eid and Ramadan and all those holy occasions. If you come to Gaza and there are no bombardments, you'd be amazed how Ramadan is like. You'd be seeing the lights, you'd be seeing people buying fireworks. Kids would be wandering around in the streets, and they'd be repeating Ramadan Ghana, Ahlan Ramadan, welcome Ramadan, Ramadan Kareem, and they'd be like making noise and clapping and singing, and they'd be loud because they are celebrating this. Again, you would see people go to pray Eid prayer, and people, they would be shaking hands and be like, Happy Eid, Happy Eid, كل عام وانت بخير, Eid Mubarak. And we would always revive the spirit of Eid and Ramadan. But unless we are under attack, uh, Yeah, we can live it, and you would be shocked that wow, Gaza, who is occupied, Gaza, who is under blockade, is having this amazing atmosphere. uh I'm not sure if this our persistence, if our persistence sort of is something good or bad at this point. But as I told you, we strive to live, and we strive to just live life the way we should. So yeah.
Jadi untuk jawaban pertanyaannya, poinnya adalah serangan ini eh, tidak melihat apakah misal sekarang lagi Ramadan, tidak melihat apakah sekarang lagi Lebaran atau hari raya yang lain. Mereka nyerang kapanpun mereka mau. Tapi itu juga benar kalau misalnya Israel juga sengaja untuk menyerang orang-orang Palestina ketika mereka sedang berkumpul. Karena meskipun kondisinya seburuk apapun, tadi Ren bilang, kalau mereka berusaha untuk tetap untuk merayakan, untuk tetap hidup sebagaimana mereka seharusnya, kayak ketika Ramadan yang merayakan Ramadan, ketika Lebaran mereka merayakan Lebaran, kayak gitu. No matter kayak bagaimanapun kondisi dan situasinya, mereka coba untuk tetap bertahan dan ya hidup sebagaimana kita hidup kayak di Indonesia merayakan hal kayak gitu. Tapi ya memang tidak ada maksudnya serangan-serangan itu ya tidak menghormati waktu-waktu yang bilangnya misalnya holy events, holy situation, kayak mereka tidak melihat itu kayak gitu. Jadi penyerangannya emang juga dilakukan di hari-hari itu. Pun juga orang-orang Palestina kan bukan semuanya Muslim. Maksudnya ada juga Palestina yang Kristen. Tapi ya sama, mereka juga tidak membeda-bedakan selama orang tersebut adalah orang Palestina, ya Israel ini akan menyerang kayak gitu. Tapi siapa orangnya, pokoknya orang Palestina gitu. Artinya tidak ada momen tertentu di semua momen serangan ini terjadi kayak gitu. Terus there's also another question from Nisa. Is it true that Palestine doesn't have enough weapons to fight against Israel? And that's the first question. Yeah, and why is that? If Palestinian doesn't have like enough weapons, why is that? And also the second question is, how
Could we take a
is
just Oh, I'm sorry, but your voice was breaking a little bit. Maybe we can take it one question at a time for me to just answer them. So please,
okay, sure.
yeah, but because your voice is crying, sometimes it's low, sometimes it's loud. I'm not sure how it works there. So let's just take it one question at a time, please. The first
Okay.
question, please.
Okay, the first question is it true that Palestinians doesn't have enough weapons, don't have enough weapons to fight back against Israel? Weapons.
Do we have weapons?
Do you have enough weapons to fight back? Is it true that, because we heard that you don't have, I mean, of course, technologies like they're so much different between Palestinian and Israel.
Okay, this point is gonna be very controversial. Basically because I honestly believe that our weapons are so basic that they cannot face a state or an occupation that is as powerful as Israel. Now, this occupation has got a professional equipment. They're like I've seen those guns, like they're heavy guns, and they've got warplanes, and they've got powerful tanks, and they've got an army. They are supported by the United States of America. So in the military, they have everything they need to actually demolish Gaza. They've got planes. Every time we get bombed using warplanes that they call the F-16 warplanes. Last year we got bombed not only with the F-16, but there was F-37, 36, F-36, which was more powerful, and they targeted the entire Gaza Strip all at once. It was 6 a.m. and they got like the entire Gaza Strip shaken, and I was asleep, and I woke up and I freaked out. I've never been more scared of my life. Now, that is something on their side. Now on our side, remember that we live under occupation, and those borders are monitored by the Syrian occupation, and therefore it is so hard for us to get equipment into Gaza. It's so hard to get equipment into the West Bank, and the guns that we have, even the rockets, they are made locally. They are made with local materials, and freedom fighters in Gaza strive to actually create something that is good, that is powerful, to defend Gaza and to free Palestine at some point in the future. But personally, I don't think uh, that we are even close to the empowerment, the power that Israel has against us when it comes to weapons and tanks and all of that. Now, lately, I've seen this documentary work on Al Jazeera, and it showed Gaza as a very powerful state with many people, militants who've got guns and well trained, and they will sacrifice their lives and all of that. And I was so mad about that, especially that it was made by Palestinian journalists, because I believe you are not helping Gaza. You are actually exaggerating everything in your documentary work, and people abroad, they're gonna think Gaza is as powerful as China or Russia. They don't know that Gaza is very small, and it's very crowded, and it's full of kids and women, and we always lose. We always lose souls. We always lose properties. We always lose money, businesses, all of that, and we are under occupation. And you just need to keep all of that in your mind. If someone from Gaza fights Israel and launches a rocket, that rocket is probably gonna break a wall in Israel. It's probably gonna break a window, you know. And if the Israeli occupation launches a rocket towards Gaza, that rocket could take an entire building down. It could kill hundreds of people, literally. If you've seen those neighborhoods in Gaza, uh, last year they were targeting the south and they were targeting the north. There's this place called El Shijaiya. El Shijaiya was destroyed. Every single time we get attacked, El Shijaiya get destroyed, and people rebuild it again because it is a very vital place in Gaza. But keep in mind that one rocket or two rockets from their warplanes can take an entire neighborhood down, and they don't care. They don't care about animals, they don't care about children or women or anything. They're just gonna strike and they're gonna attack and they're not gonna care because that's an occupation. It's what it does. I'm sorry for the noise in the street, it's just too loud. So, is my answer clear?
Yes, it's very clear. So I will translate your answer. Jadi ya kalau misalnya dibandingkan dengan tentara Israel yang mereka memang jelas-jelas disupport, mendapat dukungan dari Amerika, ya senjata orang-orang Palestina yang gak ada apa-apanya gitu. Bahkan senjata-senjata yang mereka buat itu juga senjata istilahnya local weapons gitu, senjata yang mereka buat sendiri. Maksudnya kalau misalnya dari US kan itu emang maksudnya kayak senjata produksi US yang makanya senjata mereka bagus-bagus ya, teknologi juga mereka lebih baik lah dibandingin dengan Palestina kayak gitu. Resources-nya juga maksudnya beda jauh gitu. Jadi ya tuh kalau misalnya terhadap Palestina itu kalau dibilang apa yang cukup, iya bisa dibilang kayak gitu. Bahkan kayak serangan-serangan dari senjatanya dari Israel itu sangat sangat destruktif, sangat itu sangat benar-benar bisa menghancurkan rumah kayak gitu. Jadi emang itu komparasi perbandingan senjata antara orang Palestina dan orang Israel. Kenapa? Ya karena kalau Israel dia punya lebih banyak dukungan. Okay, so the next question is how's the United Nations responded to probably like the current situation in Gaza, like after the aggression?
Um, The United Nations. Wow, it seems so useless at this point because they always talk about international law. They always talk about human rights. They even have a human rights monitor here in Gaza, but it does nothing. Basically, nothing. When we are under attack, they don't stop it, and they don't offer shelters for us to hide in. We have no shelters. No place in Gaza is safe, and they cannot detain Israel, and they cannot take Israel to the international court, and they cannot put an end to the Israeli occupation's actions. And there is nothing serious that they can do. The best they can do is that they're gonna ask to investigate. They're gonna ask Israel to stop. They're gonna feel sorry for us. They're gonna express how worried they are. They're gonna say, "Oh, Gaza's unlivable. Please give it a break." But when it comes to reality, when it comes to actions, there is no, uh, you know, like meaningful actions that they can take when it comes to our lives, especially when we are under attack. However, if I were to be fair to them, the kind of work that they do here is that they actually like from time to time, and they do that less and less throughout the years. They offer some basic food to people who are under the poverty line here in Gaza, like the extremely poor people. They give him some very like a box of food, rice and beans and stuff like that. And they have some basic services here, like medical services. They have some clinics throughout the Gaza Strip, and they've got some schools here for kids who are under the age of 16. From the first grade until the ninth grade, they can go to the the UN refugee schools. We call them ONARWA. Now, when it comes to me, I think these are probably everything that they can do here in Gaza. But again, to me, if you can talk about international law and human rights, but if you can't stop an attack that is targeting civilians, that is killing children and women, then I'm not sure if I need you anymore. Plus, I hate the fact that their existence here means that we are refugees, and we will still be refugees, and we will not have our right of return to Palestine, and Palestine will not free, and we will still live under occupation and under blockade. And it's just gonna be the case as long as they're here. So it doesn't look promising to me at all.
Okay, I understand. So, basically, PBB benar-benar ya hampir tidak ada impact-nya lah untuk mereka, kalau bisa dibilang kayak gitu. Untuk menjawab pertanyaannya ya, karena ya apa ya? Karena maksudnya ini kan perang sudah terjadi kayak selama sekian lama ya, dan PBB sendiri juga dia banyak bukan dikuasai, tapi Amerika misalnya yang memang mensupport Israel itu juga dia kan punya role yang besar di PBB. Ya, aku tambahin dari jawaban tadi. Jadi ya PBB juga bisa dibilang yang nggak berdaya selama Amerika punya power yang besar di dalamnya, di dalam PBB. Jadi gimana responnya ya PBB mengirimkan basic food, maksudnya mengirimkan kayak makanan-makanan, tapi kalau untuk mengatasi inti masalahnya sendiri ya hampir tidak ada impact-nya lah PBB. Okay, and then the next question: how is Palestinian people anticipated the next attack or certain attacks in like certain occasion, like for example Ramadan, because you still celebrate, you have like special or specific anticipation for that occasion or something like that. And yeah, that's the first question. The anticipation. participation from Palestinian people for the attack from Israel, for the attack of Israel?
Um, okay, first, I need to say that as long as we are under occupation, we always know that we anticipate an attack anytime now. Because I remember in 2008, when the first attack, when it happened, I was in school and I was about to have my final exam, and I was in the sixth grade, and they started to target Gaza and started to bomb all of that. And I was just a kid, and I was terrified. And I've seen hundreds of other kids terrified in a UN school, and teachers didn't know what to do because it was happening for the first time. We are being bombed with planes here in Gaza. Now, as I said, as long as we are living under occupation, we are targeted all the time. But and how about however, as long despite all of that, I think people in Gaza do want to live in peace and do want to have a break from the attacks, from the wars, from the aggressions, from all of that. If you ever come to people in Gaza and ask them about what happened this year and compare that to last year, of course they're gonna tell you we haven't recovered yet from last year, and we cannot go and have another battle, another round. We are too exhausted. We haven't healed, and because of that, people here in Gaza, and this is the street talk, we do not want to have attacks. We don't want to have war, but we just want to live in peace. We want to work. We want to live. We want to feed our kids, and we want to have a normal life. Even though that we are settling for a lot less than what we should settle for, like 6 to 8 hours a day. Thank God, that's good enough for us because during difficult times, like even more difficult times, we had to have 2 hours a day of power. Some days without no power at all. I remember one day, one time it was 3 to 4 days without power for any second. Uh, Now, uh, th- you're probably thinking, how do those attacks start? And I can tell you from what happened in recent years is that if things escalate in Jerusalem like it happened last year, you saw Sheikh al Jarrah, the Israeli occupation is kicking Palestinians out of their homes in Sheikh al Jarrah. It's a neighborhood in Jerusalem, and they're taking over. Happened the same in Silwan, another neighborhood in Jerusalem, and they are just evacuating Palestinians. They're forcibly evacuating them, and they're stealing their homes and all of that. This was the start of last year's war. Sometimes attacks on people in the West Bank, Palestinians in the West Bank, they don't have power. They're not protected. At least in Gaza, we are under occupation and we are under blockade. But Israeli people, Israeli soldiers, they cannot come into my house and come and drag me and put me in jail. But they can do that in the West Bank. In Gaza, they can bomb us with planes, warplanes, but in the West Bank, they usually just enter any home they want, and they can arrest and kill and injure anyone they want, and they even hit women, and they don't care about that. So that was one of the reasons. There's also assassination. Every time the Israeli occupation assassinates any Palestinian, whether that's in the West Bank or Gaza, and usually they assassinate Palestinians who are leaders. Assassinations always lead to escalations, and therefore, an attack, a vicious attack. More fierce events could happen here. Like, for example, Ramadan. In Ramadan, because Palestinians, those who are Muslims, they want to go to Al Aqsa to pray, and the Israeli occupation prevents them. There happens like confrontations, face to face, individuals, and the Israeli occupation, their forces and their policemen and their they attack Palestinian civilians in Jerusalem and in the West Bank, and that always every Ramadan, it gets so tough because there's tensions everywhere, and it could always lead to more vicious in Palestine. Um, there were sometimes that things got extremely tough, like when Donald Trump recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. That was a very tough time for all Palestinians. There is also when we had the Great Return March in Gaza, people went to the to march and protest the life that we have and express that we have the right to return to Palestine. Hundreds of Palestinians were shot, tens got killed, and hundreds or even thousands were shot and lost their legs or their arms, body parts. And it is always events like this, when it feels patriotic and you're doing it for Palestine, you're doing it for Jerusalem, you're doing it for Al Aqsa and the Dome of the Rock, and all of these hollow places, especially that Israeli occupation forces always attack camps in Jenin and in Nablus and in Ramallah, cities in the West Bank. They invade them every single morning at 2, 3, 4 a.m. invade them. So things were settled here. It will never be peaceful because this occupation doesn't stop attacking Palestinians in every way they can, and they even do more inhumane actions. Like I'm not sure if you have ever heard of Ahmad al-Manasra, but Ahmad al-Manasra is a Palestinian kid who has been in Israeli jail for many, many years, and he is suffering from mental illnesses, and he was attacked, and he was tortured by Israeli army and their soldiers and just people in the army like officers and all of that, and they refused to set him free. Ahmad al-Manasra is a great example. Uh, Shireen Abu Aqle, a journalist who was shot dead over 100 years ago, over 3 months ago, and she was just a journalist. She was wearing her vest that says press, and she was wearing her helmet, and they shot her dead. She was a journalist. She was an American Palestinian citizen. America did nothing about that. And we never got any justice for Shireen. They even attacked her funeral. They attacked people who were, holding her body, and they attacked people who tried to save her when she was first shot. This is an occupation that attacks all Palestinians, no matter where they are from, no matter how tall they are, how much they weigh, how old they are, if they're white, if they're black, if they're brown, if they're Muslims, if they're Jewish, if they're Christian, if they're atheists. As long as you are Palestinian, you are under attack.
Oke, jadi berdasarkan jawabannya dari Rai, selama mereka masih di bawah okupasi dari Israel, so mereka ya Israel masih jajah, masih under mereka sebenarnya ya berada memiliki terancam untuk terkena serangan setiap harinya. Jadi pastinya mereka melakukan antisipasi setiap saat. Selama mereka masih under occupation, mereka akan berantisipasi setiap saat, karena serangan itu bisa sangat dadakan, kayak serangan yang terjadi baru-baru ini. Terus juga dia serangannya tidak pandang bulu, dia bisa nyerang anak-anak. Tadi contohnya juga ada jurnalis yang diserang, yang ditembak sampai meninggal kayak gitu pada saat penyerangan. And ya, basically kayak PBB juga tidak ada tindakan untuk keadilan untuk orang-orang yang semestinya dilindungi ini, tapi malah diserang kayak gitu. Jadi ya kesimpulannya mereka kan selalu berantisipasi setiap saat, karena kita nggak tahu kapan serangan akan terjadi, kita nggak tahu siapa yang akan diserang, kemana, kapan, kayak gitu. Jadi kurang lebih gitu jawaban dari beliau. Dan karena waktunya sudah habis, sepertinya pertanyaan tadi akan jadi pertanyaan terakhir. Ya gitu, mohon maaf untuk teman-teman yang bertanya tapi tidak berkesempatan untuk ditanyakan pertanyaannya. Mungkin bisa mencari mencari tahu lebih lanjut tentang podcasters yang mungkin akan menjawab pertanyaan teman-teman, atau mungkin itu akan kalian bisa bertanya di platform-platform atau project yang dibuat oleh Raid Syak. Gitu. Kalian juga boleh follow IG-nya. Mungkin bisa tanya ke panitia kalau misalnya akun sosial medianya dari Raid apa. Jadi kalian bisa bertanya atau mengikuti perkembangan situasi di Palestina. Untuk sekarang kita masuk ke sesi foto. So we will now. The question is we cannot add more question because the time is up, and now we will move on to the photo session. Kita bakal masuk ke sesi foto bersama. Jadi untuk panitia yang bertanggung jawab untuk sesi foto bersama mungkin bisa ngasih aba-aba, dan untuk teman-teman yang hadir di sini bisa buka kameranya kalau berkenan untuk sesi foto bersama. Saya serahkan ke siapa yang akan ngasih aba-aba. Dea mungkin. Ya, mangga teman-teman yang mau ikut sesi foto bersama bisa dibuka dulu kameranya. Sebentar. Dari Amin juga mungkin bisa dibantu untuk mengarahkan.
Boleh, Teh. Jadi monggo boleh dibuka dulu kameranya, teman-teman semuanya. Kita ada di sesi foto bersama. Mangga, mungkin karena di sini ada sekitar 51 orang. Mangga boleh
Are we gonna take a photo right now?
Yes, brother.
Yeah, okay.
Before we close the tape.
Oke, bisa dimulai aja ya. Teh Dea mungkin udah siap.
Di sini jadi ada 3 ini ya, slide ya, teteh-teteh dan teman-teman gitu. Nanti di hitungan ketiga untuk yang slide pertama dulu. Di hitungan yang ke-3 karena ada Brother Raed di sini. 1, 2, 3. Oke, di slide yang kedua. Sebentar. Slide number 2. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Slide number 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, done.
Okay. First I want to thank you so much. I want to thank Brother Said for his time, for his stories that for me personally is really very insightful to know what is the real situations there in Palestine. And I think also for my friends here who also come to hear your story. And I really appreciate your work there, your project. And yeah, I hope we can all try our best to support Palestinian people by sharing the story more and more to the world. And I will give back to Amir to lead the closing for this event.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Brother Raed, to sharing everything that you get. May Allah grant you strength, absolutely, and may Allah grant you prosperity, and may Allah give victory way to Palestinian people. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you all. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, of course. Assalamualaikum. Oke, alhamdulillah kita sudah melewati satu agenda dan alhamdulillah kita dapat insight yang luar biasa pada siang hari ini ya teman-teman semuanya. Jadi mungkin mata kita udah dibuka sebuka-bukanya nih ya tentang keadaan Palestina di hari ini. Semoga ada manfaatnya buat kita semuanya. Dan aku ingin ngasih info nih sebelum kita tutup. Ada info dari Baik Berisik nih. Nah, teman-teman tahu nggak sih Baik Berisik itu apa? Nah, kalau belum tahu, teman-teman bisa untuk nge-follow Baik Berisik di Instagram ya. Jadi Baik Berisik bakal akan ngebuka pendaftaran nih buat teman-teman semuanya, pendaftaran di angkatan ketiga, ke batch ketiga. Info selengkapnya teman-teman bisa untuk follow di Instagram @baikberisik. Jadi jangan sampai ketinggalan, ini program yang bagus banget untuk bisa membuka mata kita, dan tadi seperti yang Brother Red bilang, kita bisa berkontribusi nih salah satunya lewat media sosial. Gimana caranya? Kita bisa menyuarakan suara dari Gaza untuk dunia, dan kita bisa bantu untuk untuk mengkampanyekan hal tersebut. Ada tiga kategori nih yang kamu bisa ikutin. Ada yang millennials, ada content creator, dan ada orang tua asuh. Jadi insya Allah di Baik Berisik ini kita jadikan sarana kita untuk bisa membantu sahabat-sahabat kita, saudara-saudara kita yang ada di Palestina. Mungkin itu yang bisa aku sampaikan. Terima kasih banyak atas kesediaan teman-teman yang sudah hadir. Terima kasih banyak juga kepada Teh Febri yang sudah memandu acara tadi bersama Brother Raed. Terima kasih juga kepada Brother Raed yang sudah hadir dan berbagi cerita, dan juga kepada teman-teman semuanya yang sudah mengikuti acara ini dari awal sampai akhir. Semoga ada manfaatnya. Marilah kita tutup program kita pada siang hari ini dengan membaca hamdalah dan doa kafaratul majelis. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Aku sebagai MC undur diri, aku mengucapkan permohonan maaf bila ada salah-salah kata ataupun perbuatan yang tidak berkenan. Semoga dimaafkan. Kita tutup. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.